There's a number most people don't talk about, and it's not 1 million, and it's not even 100,000. It's much smaller, quiet, easy to overlook, but strangely, it changes everything. Because once you hit it, the way money behaves around you starts to shift. The way banks see you changes. The way opportunities come toward you changes. And whether you realize it or not, decisions start getting made around your money. Subtle decisions, quiet decisions, the kind you don't notice unless you know what to look for. That number is $20,000. Not flashy, not life-changing on the surface, but powerful, more powerful than most people realize. And if you're over 40, it becomes even more important because at this stage, money is no longer about experimenting. It's no longer about trying everything. It's about positioning. It's about being intentional. It's about making fewer mistakes and making smarter moves. Because now every decision carries more weight. Every year matters more. Every delay becomes more expensive. Now, before we go any deeper, take a second to like this video and subscribe. This channel is built for people who want calm, clear, practical control over their money, especially if you're over 40 and thinking seriously about what comes next. Now, here's what most people don't realize. When you reach $20,000 in savings, you've crossed an invisible line. Nothing dramatic happens on the outside, but internally, everything shifts. You're no longer just surviving. You've entered stability. Your bills are more predictable. Your spending is more intentional. You pause before making decisions. You've likely said no to certain debts you would have accepted years ago. And slowly, you've become more aware of patterns, aware of waste, aware of what actually matters. And that awareness is where everything begins to change. Because now, your money isn't just sitting there. It's being watched, not emotionally, not personally, but systematically. Banks track behavior, balances, consistency, and when your account reaches that level of stability, it sends a signal, not to you, but to them, a quiet signal that says, this person has money that can be used. And that's where the dynamic shifts. Let me show you what that looks like in real life. Imagine a couple, Linda and Mark. They're not rich. They're not struggling either. They've just been consistent. Years of working, years of paying bills, raising kids, handling emergencies, making sacrifices no one sees. Nothing glamorous, just steady effort. And over time, that effort turns into something real. 10,000 saved, then 15, eventually 20,000. It feels like a milestone because it is. It represents discipline, control, sacrifice, and for a moment, it feels like they've finally caught a break. But then something strange happens. The money just sits there, quiet, still, barely growing, barely moving. At first, they don't question it, because saving was the goal. But over time, a small discomfort starts to grow. Something feels off. And right around that time, the bank starts paying attention. Calls begin. Messages show up. Hello, we noticed your balance. Have you considered this option? Let us help you grow your money. Friendly, professional, helpful on the surface. But here's the truth most people never stop to consider. The bank isn't calling because your money is growing. They're calling because it isn't. Because to them, your 20,000 is not your achievement. It's their opportunity. Think about it for a second. They might be paying you almost nothing to hold your money, a fraction of a percent. So small you barely notice it. But that same money, they can lend it out at much higher rates, 6%, 7%, sometimes more. That difference is where they make their profit, quietly, consistently, at scale. And without realizing it, your money becomes part of that system, working, but not for you, for them. That's not a conspiracy. It's not even malicious. It's just how the system is designed. But once you see it, you can't unsee it, because now the question changes. It's no longer, have I saved enough? It becomes, is my money working hard enough? And that question changes everything. This is where the first real shift happens. You stop thinking like a saver, and you start thinking like someone who positions money. Because saving alone is not the goal. Saving is the foundation. Positioning is what creates growth. Positioning means understanding where your money sits, what it's doing, and most importantly, who it's benefiting. Because money always works. The only question is, who is it working for? And for many people over 40, this is the moment everything clicks. You begin to see time differently. You begin to feel urgency, but not panic. Clarity, not confusion. Because now every year matters. Every decision compounds. And doing nothing is no longer safe. It's expensive, very expensive. Now, here's where things get even more important, because when the bank reaches out, they rarely present bad options. They present polished options, professional options, things that sound responsible, investment plans, insurance bundles, managed portfolios, and at first glance, it all feels helpful, even reassuring. But this is where you have to slow down, because what matters is not just what's presented. It's how it's structured. Many of these options come with layers, fees, charges, restrictions, lock-in periods, small percentages that don't feel like much in the moment. But over time, they add up quietly, relentlessly, and consistency works both ways. It can build your wealth or slowly drain it. So while it feels like guidance, it's often designed to benefit the system first, not you. And that doesn't mean you reject everything. It means you stop accepting blindly. You ask questions. You read details. You take control. And that leads to the second shift. You stop relying on convenience and start prioritizing clarity, because convenience feels easy, but clarity gives you power. Let me ask you something. Have you ever saved money, reached a point where you felt proud, but at the same time, slightly unsure what to do next? That quiet uncertainty, that pause, that feeling of, what now? If that's you, drop a comment below, because that moment right there is where most people get stuck. And it's also where transformation begins. Now, let's move forward, because the real power move here is simple, but rarely explained clearly. You separate your money, not physically in your hands, but strategically in your system. You stop keeping everything in one place, because when everything sits together, your money loses direction. It becomes easy to spend, easy to overlook, easy to mismanage. But when you separate it, it becomes intentional, clear, purpose-driven. Your spending account handles daily life, bills, food, transport, routine. That's your operational account. But your wealth account, that's different. That's where your future lives. That's where your money works. That's where growth begins. And that 20,000, it becomes your foundation, not your comfort zone, not your resting point, your foundation. From there, you begin to move money with purpose, slowly, carefully, deliberately, not everything at once, but consistently. You place it where it has a better chance to grow, where it's not just sitting idle. And over time, something powerful happens. You begin to see contrast. One path stays flat, the other begins to rise. And once you see that difference, you can't go back, because now you're no longer guessing. You're directing. You're deciding. You're in control. But there's another layer most people underestimate: time. In your 40s and beyond, time feels different. It's no longer abstract. It's real, visible, measurable. You think in years, in timelines, in outcomes. And waiting starts to feel riskier than acting, because every year your money sits still. It loses potential. Growth you can't recover later. Opportunities you can't rewind. That's why the next shift is critical. You move from defense to offense. For years, money may have been about protection, covering expenses, avoiding debt, staying afloat, and that was necessary. That phase matters. But now you need to grow. That doesn't mean taking wild risks. It means taking intentional steps, measured steps. You build a safety buffer first, 3 to 6 months of expenses. That gives you peace of mind, stability, confidence, and from that position, you begin planting small investments, consistent contributions, nothing complicated, nothing overwhelming, just steady, repeatable actions. Because growth doesn't come from one big move. It comes from many small ones, done consistently, over time. And here's something important to remember. You don't need to catch up overnight. You don't need perfection. You need direction, forward movement. That's it. Now, let's talk about discipline, because this is where momentum is either built or lost. You will see distractions, opportunities that promise speed, shortcuts, quick wins, but most of them come with higher risk. And at this stage of life, recovery time matters. So you stay grounded, you stay focused, you prioritize consistency over excitement, and where possible, you automate, because automation removes emotion. It removes hesitation. It keeps you moving even when life gets busy, even when motivation drops. And that consistency, that's what changes everything. Now, let's bring this back to you. That $20,000 you saved, it's not small. It's not random. It's not insignificant. It's a signal. It means you've built discipline. You've created space. You've proven to yourself that you can manage money. And that matters more than you think. Now, the next step is simple, but powerful. You make that money work, not occasionally, not accidentally, intentionally, consistently, because leaving it idle costs you. Choosing convenience over clarity costs you. Waiting too long costs you. But taking control, that pays you back. Slowly, quietly, reliably, over time. And no, it's not too late. That idea that you've missed your window, that you should have started earlier, let it go. Because starting now is what matters. Adjusting as you go is what matters. Building momentum is what matters. So here's what I want you to hold on to. Demand better for your money. Don't just save it, position it. Separate it with purpose. Invest consistently. And build a clear plan. Not a perfect one, a clear one. Because clarity leads to action. And action leads to results. Now, if this helped you see your money differently, take a moment to subscribe and turn on notifications. This channel is here to guide you step by step, calmly, clearly, without noise. And one more thing, share this with someone you care about, because many people are sitting exactly where you are right now, saving, but unsure what comes next. And this might be the clarity they've been waiting for. Now, in the next video, we're going to go deeper. I'll show you how to turn that $20,000 into a structured retirement comeback plan. Simple, practical, step by step. So don't miss that, because this is where things begin to shift in a real way. Start now, adjust later, but whatever you do, don't stay still.